You know, as gamers, we all had that special game that started it all. Today, I'd like to talk about my special game that pretty much defined why I started gaming in the first place. It's a game that I wanted everyone to try out when I was a kid, but, you know, it was on the Master System. You know, the Sega that, came before the, story of my fucking life. Most of my friends had an NES, or even a Super NES by the time I had my console. Well, what's the Master System? The short answer is a console. The long answer is a giant monolith of doom that's not gonna fit on any shelf. Like, I'm serious, this thing is way too huge for what it is. I just built the whole entertainment center unit myself, and I had to literally redesign the whole thing just to make it fit. And if that description on how big it is isn't clear enough for you, let's just say that if you were stuck on an island in the middle of the sea, and that you could use it as a frickin' raft, and you could probably fit 2 people on it. It had a lot of great games, but man, the cover for these games, I mean, look at them! This looks like abandoned Microsoft Office clip art, just laying there on a drawing board. And I'm pretty sure the font is Times, and that's pretty shitty. I mean, the only thing worse would have been Comic Sans. When you're in a list of shitty font, you know, it's right up there with the best of the worst. On Christmas morning of I don't fucking know, my dad got me a game for my Master System. It was called Wonder Boy 3. I already had the first one, but this one looks so much different. I mean, the first one, when you look at it, it's like, yeah, it's Wonder Boy. Bam, the magic ends there. But when you look at the cover for the third one, it's like... Moving on. So yeah, it's different, but is it any good? I mean, guys, the fact that I'm sweating right now as I'm talking about it, it should give you a hint, pals. It should. It's so good, I don't even know where to start. Okay, I have an idea. Just hear me out. Before we get even into the real topic, let me just get it all out, okay? Yes, dragons and swords, it's open world, it's part RPG, it's part platformer, it's part fucking awesome, it's... Okay. Whew. Now we can go back. Okay, I'm done. I think one of the main reasons why I like this game so much is because it introduced us to so many concepts that weren't something you would see in many games back in the days. For example, in pretty much any game, you couldn't save your progress, so you had to finish it in one sitting. And some of those games were super long and hard, so you'd take the whole day just to beat one stage. But then you realize your mom was calling you to dinner, so you had to go turn off your system, you had to go to dinner, you had to come back later. But there's no password system, no save, no nothing. You'd lose all your progress, and you have to come back later, or the next day, and you have to do it all over again. Whoop-de-fucking-do. In Wonder Boy 3, they had a way around this. But since it was something new, and I was not reading the instruction manual, well, we got screwed for a while. You see, my dad tried to finish the game every night, staying up till 5 a.m. in the morning. Sleeping only 1 hour, and then going back to work. But he could never manage it. It was too long. It was too hard. No, I'm not doing a fucking That's What She Said joke, Max. That's when he saw it. The bane of his existence. The thing that would cause him trust issues for all the years to come. Password save. Password save, of course. What nice password! I can assure you that his reaction wasn't pretty at all. But let's look on the positive side. I learned some new words that day, like and let's not forget the... Yeah, we're not gonna do a complete list of this. Yep, the first building in the game you can enter gives you the password to restart where you left off. Also, I'd just like to point out that it's a smoking pig that gives you a password, so it's pretty much the best thing in the fucking game. You get to save your game, and you have some smoked meat too! My dad was so pissed about it that he just rage quit entirely, and it wasn't your casual rage quit. He just stopped playing video games, period. And that's when I started. Like I said in that brief moment of insanity back there, the game is an 8-bit open-world platformer with a lot of RPG elements. Now that I look at it, it's basically what Zelda 2 on the NES should have been. It has tight controls, amazing level designs, filled with secrets and alternate paths. It also has weapon upgrades, shops, towns to visit, and the coolest mechanic about the game was the fact that you could shapeshift into different animals, like a dragon, a bird, a lion, a mouse that is the manliest mouse of all time, and the creature from the Black Lagoon. The dragon can spit fire and it's resistant to lava. The mouse is small, but it sticks to certain walls. That rhymes. Also, he has some pecs. Mass pecs. The swamp creature can swim and has the longest reach with the sword. The lion can hit above his head, and he's the most powerful of all the transformation. And finally, the bird, who's a complete shit for the birds. I think the reach of your sword and hook on the NES was better than this shit. When you start a new game, you start off as a very powerful demigod. You're indestructible, kind of like Alucard in Symphony of the Night. But as you deliver the killing blow on the dragon curses you, and you become a hideous dragon yourself on the quest to become human again. Did I also mention that the first boss you meet in the game is the same as the one from the previous game?
No, Sean! You didn't mention it! No! You didn't fucking mention it, Sean!
Okay, thanks. So you lose all your powers, again, like in Symphony of the Night. Remember when I told you that this game was cool because it tried new things and concepts that weren't standards yet? Yeah, that's a good example right there. There are a total of 6 bosses to beat, and they're all pretty unique. You get the Cyber Dragon, the Mummy Dragon, the Zombie Dragon, the Pirate Dragon, the Samurai Dragon, and the Dragon Dragon? Yeah, they're all dragons, but their design is awesome. There's also a secret way to access every boss chamber in the game. You need to find invisible doors, and in order to open them, you need 99 of these, which have no other purpose in the game aside from opening these doors. You can't select them in the menu screen, and there's no description about them. Let me remind you, that game came out in the 90s. That means no internet walkthrough, no GameFAQs, and no $4 a minute helpline from Sega like Nintendo had. Some parts are very cryptic, but you feel rewarded when you access them. For example, to enter the second dungeon, you just need to drop down this well. But if you explore the area just a little more, you can climb this pyramid.
This is literally taking forever!
God, Max! This is not my fucking fault! Get back in there! Once you make it to the other side, there's shit. So, like I was saying, if you manage to live once you're on the other side, there's a Sphinx cat and you can enter it to give you an extra heart. It's something you can overlook really easily if you don't explore much, which is the point of this whole game, so if you're not exploring, you're gonna have a bad time. Oh, and if you come back here, when you find a
mighty sword of breaking stuff,
you can break the blocks and just fall to the treasure room. The third dungeon is a giant tower that you have to climb in order to get to the top. It's logic. But once you're at the top, you have to drop down again. And then, you're in for some funky tunes! And then you have to climb all over again, but the enemies are now way harder. When you get to the boss, you can't even attack him because he's hiding underneath the ground. And when he pops out, it's all like... The fourth dungeon is a sunken ship that you have to explore. Everything inside is upside down. But what's cool about this one is that you actually came across that dungeon at the beginning of the game.
Say what?
The only visible part was the bottom of the ship sticking through the ground. The fifth dungeon is a ninja temple. You have to face enemies that jump around, and sometimes they're not even on the floor, they're hanging on the walls. This dungeon is by far one of the hardest, if not the hardest dungeon in the whole game. I'm sure the last one's really hard, but this one, it's kind of particular. You'll really need all your hearts and all the potions you can get, but don't get your hopes too high, my little friends, because potions are frickin' jerks in this game. Have you ever heard of another game where the effectiveness of your potion depends entirely out of luck? Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you take one, it gives you all your hearts back, but there's some other times, like during a bullshit hard boss battle, where it only gives you 1 heart. Really? Just 1 heart? What the hell am I supposed to do with 1 heart?
Pretty much the same thing you do in real life with 1 heart, man. I mean, you really want...
Come on, Max! Shut up! Stop toying with my review! Bosses aside, let's talk about the regular enemies for a while. All the enemies you encounter in this game come into 3 categories. The red ones, the green ones, and the blue ones. Red enemies are the basic one. They're not doing much damage and they usually die in 1 hit. Green enemies are a little bit harder, they do a little bit more damage, and sometimes their attack patterns are either faster or completely different. And then there are the blue ones. I like to call them the Paima enemies. Why Paima? Because they're a pain in my ass! They do a shitload of damage, they're hard to kill, they're annoying. The feeling I get when I see one of those is the exact same feeling I have when I spill some spaghetti sauce on my white shirt. I know it's gonna be a bitch to get rid of. I could go on for hours about this game. There's so much to it. It would take us forever to talk about everything it has to offer, but I'm going to let you do the exploration instead. See, it's the exploration game, you do the exploration. It's getting a bit pricey on the Master System, and the Master System itself is a little pricey, but on the Wii's Virtual Console you can get the Master System version or the TurboGrafx version pretty cheap. But my friends, if you're gonna play it, please avoid the internet, avoid GameFAQs, do it legit, because there's something about completing a game the old school way that's just so rewarding. Oh, and Max, are you working on that Mr. Nuts video?
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder though, couldn't I talk about something more than just nuts? I mean, there were a lot of characters back then that were trying to be the next Sonic or Mario or whatever. They were trying to be the next big thing, and they all failed miserably. I think my next video is gonna be something more than just balls and nuts.
And bada bing bada boom, we're done! Thank you for watching my first video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making it. And I hope you learned a thing or two about a great game that I played as a kid. Maybe you want to try it out yourself. If you ever want to see more content, well, just go to our website, theguywiththehair.ca. You can also find links to Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, and our YouTube page over there. See you next time.